Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for live full-time reaction to Celtic 1, St Johnstone 1. I'm joined by Kenny and Callum tonight. That's a live format, you know how it works. I'm sure there's going to be 1,000 comments, so if there's any good ones, we'll try and pick them out as we go through. Kenny, I just said to you before we came on here, I mean, I don't even know what to talk about. I mean, how can you offer any analysis to that? It's the same movie that we've seen so many times this season.
Yeah, so look, before we talk about the game, I to this point, I've obviously we've all wanted the manager to move on. I've stopped short in my mind of thinking it's incumbent upon him to resign. It's now incumbent upon Neil Lennon to resign in the morning. Now, there's a complication there because he's effectively cutting away his own pay packet for his notice period. He needs to phone up Peter Lawwell, have one of his famous Zoom calls and say, let's come to a mutual understanding about my contract because it needs to get torn up in the morning. I shudder to think what's happening outside the ground tonight. It's humiliating. It was humiliating last time, presumably. You know, it wouldn't be unreasonable if it wasn't just the Green Brigade out there tonight. I feel like going down myself. I'm absolutely sick of it. The board should have made this decision after the Hibs game. Had they done so, I'm pretty confident we'd still be in the League Cup. We'd been out of Europe, but I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have went out in a blaze of disgrace with 8 goals. And I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be now 7 points behind with an unassailable goal difference at the start of December. That's what's happened. But now, a lot of that's down to Lennon and the failings of the team and all of the dynamics that we've discussed for months now. But all of those 3 big key items that I've talked about there are the failing of the board. They had an opportunity long before now to move them on, and they haven't done it. And they've stood still now. I think them being vilified, you know, for commoditising the fans, in my mind, is maybe a bit too far. But you know what? Nothing's too far now. If he's not gone in the morning, I don't know what. We're already in unprecedented times, so it's hard to find the words. As for the game, I mean, when the first team sheet came out, my heart sank. Rogic and Christie congesting the central area again in behind Rogic. No width. Why do that? Why not just play Moy? Why not bring on Turnbull? Why not play Griffiths? Do something fresh. You've got the opportunity. If Griffiths can only play for 50 minutes, play him for 50 minutes. If Moy can play for 40 minutes, just play him for 40 minutes. Don't play Christie and Rogic with no width again, and we have to suffer 70 minutes of hell watching this predictable patterns of play where St Johnstone are just knocking the ball away, and every time they got up the park, they look like scoring. They should have scored after 10 minutes. They've run up the park once in the second half and scored. It's very difficult to sit here and put an analysis together around the performance because the damage that runs so deeper than that is so glaring for us all to see. Look, I don't want to go on. We could talk about the game all night. I think he goes in the morning, and I think he goes via resignation.
Callum, I think it's getting to the stage. I actually just feel sorry for Neil Lennon now. He's clearly in a position that he doesn't know how to turn around, that should have been taken out of his hands weeks ago. I tweeted just at the end of the game there, this is a dereliction of duty by the board. They get paid a lot of money. I said it in the build-up to the game. Peter Lawwell, the chief executive, gets paid an absolute fortune, and he has to act in times like this when the team is playing this badly. He should have acted weeks ago. As Kenny says, we're now out of Europe. We're now out of the League Cup. The Rangers are overwhelming favourites for the title. I mean, this all lies with the board.
Hopefully that's him being sacked there when Kenny's getting a phone call. Mate, it's do you know the worst thing is for anybody to actually go down tonight, stay away from Celtic Park. Don't give them what they've built our stadium to be. I mean, the barriers, the police, the helicopters. It's an absolute embarrassment. And it's actually a little bit of a ironic thing that they got all that round the stadium because clearly they seen this result coming. So they knew people were going to come down today. They knew that. That's why they thought, fuck it, get the whole of Police Scotland up, get them all. And it's exactly what they get. I mean, some of the players are disgraceful. The coaching staff is disgraceful. But it's just a laughing stock to them. But do you know when Desmond won't be laughing? Is when next season renewals come round and you see the big banner above the Lisbon Lions stand and he'll shit himself then. Because people will stand in their thousands and not renew simply down to this. For me, where Kenny goes on and he says that he might resign, he's never going to chuck his own job away. He's not through a pandemic. Where's he going to go? Who's Lennon going to go to? He failed at Bolton. He failed at Hibs. He's failing at us. He's a manager that had his spell the first time. He's not got any creative ideas. It's insanity. He's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's the exact same team we've seen. And somehow he keeps... I said it to my mate before the game. I went, he's playing the same team. Why is he not playing Sorrow or Turnbull? Give somebody else a chance because you're failing anyway. So try and change it that way. And he says, oh, well, he's just relying on the players. And I went, but they players have let him down and they're still letting him down. So what's the difference? We're still in the same position. And I don't know what the board's waiting on. What are they waiting on? Are they waiting on for that, that twist or that turn for that bit of magic? I mean, the goal was pure luck. Let's be honest. It was pure lucky our goal. It was so jammy. And I was actually deflated a little bit because I was like, oh, that might have maybe got me out the door if we lost. But a draw, I feel... Did you hear Jeremy Culloch's comments after the game? He went, hopefully that will appease some of the fans. How fucking dare you, you clown? How fucking dare you say that? It'll appease some of the fans. Are you mad? But that's where we are as a club, that he's saying that stuff. Alan Stubbs, we've actually played quite well today. We've had a few... What are they watching? These people that are paid by Celtic are just fucking deluded.
It's propaganda, mate. It's propaganda. That's where you've just talked there about trying to bring Sorrow in, bring different players in, doing the same thing over and over again, being insanity. That's why I'm saying that I'm just so far past criticising Neil Lennon. He's clearly unable to turn this around. It's at the stage where his incompetence is just glaring for everyone to see. And that's where, Kenny, the board should have done their job weeks ago.
Yeah. And I love, as a man, I love Neil Lennon, and that's not going to change through any of this. But with every passing day that goes by, his reputation is getting damaged, and it's harder for the support to accept. His legacy does get a bit... With the worse this gets and the worse publicly it gets, his reputation does get tarnished. They've had time to think about this. If I was Peter Lawwell when I was getting paid the amount of money he was, after I watched that Glasgow derby and we didn't have a shot on target, I'd been thinking, do you know what? I need a contingency here. I need a contingency plan. That was nearly 2 months ago? Yeah. So why is he not? He's had plenty of time to sit and think and identify targets and sound them out and see where to go. He can't say that this is some knee-jerk thing that he's had to respond to with immediate effect and it's caused him a problem. I don't know who's pulling the strings. I don't know if it's Desmond. I don't know if Lawwell was powerless on the decision. Maybe it's Desmond. I don't know. I think Lawwell needs to go as well at the end of the season. Now, Lawwell's been here for 17 years. He's won 13 leagues. The 4 that he lost were where Rangers had illegal tax EBTs. So his legacy deserves perhaps a little bit more respect than it's got at the minute. But he's got to go at the end of the season. We can't sit. The relationship with the fans is short. He himself obviously is out of touch if he thinks that not sacking a manager this quickly is a reasonable thing to do. Imagine we were a team in the English Premier League. Neil Lennon would have been sacked after that Glasgow derby, I think. You know, that's how quickly you make decisions these days. And that's modern football. We're stuck in an archaic situation where we're just blindly deluded to what's in front of us. And I'm a bit worried about the future. Because what do we do in January? Say we get, Mark O'Neill or Gordon Strachan or Paul Lambert, some stopgap in that's prepared to take it. Do you give them money to spend? It's a bit of a car crash situation to give them money to spend. So what do you do? How do we get out of this? I think it's about damage limitation. Sorry to sound defeatist. Before today, I wasn't defeatist. I thought there was a glimmer. I thought by getting put out of the League Cup and put out of Europe, our fixture congestion will be relieved. We're only 5 behind. Who knows? Maybe we can turn it around with a new manager bounce. I don't think we can now. I think it's too far gone. It's about damage limitation and it's about credibility. Bring the fans some credibility, Peter Lawwell, and put us out of this situation, please.
Aye, you touched on who makes the decisions there. I think ultimately, obviously, Dermot Desmond is the man that makes the decision. It's his word. Dermot Desmond still, his vision for Celtic is still some pipe dream of somehow going to play in a British Premier League, which shows you how archaic the vision of the Celtic board truly is. If he's the main man and he's the person guiding the club, it is total inaction. It's inaction because they don't have a contingency plan, Callum. And I don't want to go back to talking about this because we've said it over and over and over again in the last few months. But the manner that they gave Neil Lennon the full-time job in just showed you the lack of planning. It just showed you the lack of professionalism. And we can't really be surprised by the board's inability to deal with this situation, can we?
Nah, there's not going to be a change tomorrow. There's not going to be a change tonight. It's going to keep going on until it's mathematically impossible to win the league. That's as simple as that. They're not going to. They're not. I mean, we've played worse than that. We've had worse games and bigger defeats than that. And he's still not gone. So he probably. I've not seen his comments, but Neil Lennon's probably come out and says we've done well to probably fight back, and it's actually a point rather than 3 dropped. It's probably some bullshit like that he's going to come out with. But the whole board, everybody at the club, it's just rotten. It's just completely rotten. Everything's broken. You couldn't be more disjointed. You can tell by people's body language in the game. There was a moment where Laxo was talking to himself in the first half, because I don't know if you think that's right, but we do not have a left winger at the club in anybody. No one is a left winger. Laxal is getting made left back, left wing back, left mid, left forward. He's playing every single position. It's not working. We keep doing that shitty ball down the side, and not one of our wing backs are getting onto it. And we're coming right back into the middle. We've got no width in the team. And the body language, I mean, when the camera went to John Kennedy and Neil Lennon was asking something, John Kennedy's reaction was, "Mate, you're getting paid a fortune. You're living the dream that all of us would wish that we could have. And you're just... Mate, I'd be giving my right arm to be in that job right now to pull Celtic out of this mess." And it's just been... It's as if we're allowed. I'm surprised if we finish second this year. I'll be surprised, because we are falling rapidly. And the board, out of spite, are doing this to the fans because a couple of people threw a couple of barriers, and it's been way blown out of proportion. And that's simple as that. He's not going to bide because he's his wee pal, and all his pals in the media like Suttons and Hartsons and Pedros, they've all stuck up for him. Stubbs today saying it's even a better. It doesn't matter how well we play. The main result is, do you win? Do you need the 3 points? When's the last time you picked up 3 points?
The problem is we don't look like beating the MD, Kenny. And you see with the performance today, it's just error strewn all over the park. Laxal gave the ball away 3 or 4 times in the first half. Julien played the ball at the park or gave it away 4 or 5 times. Beaton gave it away. And as you said earlier, continuing the theme of all season, every time St Johnstone went up the park, he thought they might carve his open and score a goal here. And a better team than St Johnstone would have scored more than one today. It beggars belief how we can still be defending in the same manner after all this time. Like there's been no improvement in it. No.
And do you know what? See, if there was 60,000 people in there staring at them, breathing down their neck, they wouldn't be as slack. There's no doubt. If that stadium was full, I don't think this would be happening. I just can't envisage that they'd be rolling around the park, spaced out half the time, if there was 60,000 people breathing down their neck. I think that's a big part in it. So look, what do we do? We're sitting here and moaning. How do we actually attempt to go forward with this? I think we need to try and get a goalkeeper in January. Whether that's maybe we need to rely on the loan market a wee bit in January rather than part with funds in a panic situation, because after the pandemic, we're probably not going to have that strong a balance sheet. You know,
spent a lot of money.
Spent a lot of money. The board did back them in the summer. Let's get that right. They spent a lot of money and they kept all the big assets whose value was always going to degrade irrespective of performance because their contracts were running down. So the board did back the manager. But now we need to take some action in January. We need to get a goalkeeper in. Losing Fraser Foster has just been an untold hell in terms of the disruptive effect that it's had on the backline. There's no one thing in isolation we can call out as the problem here, but we need to get another goalkeeper in. We need to get wide players. We need to get natural wingers into the team. It's so stifling that when we play these, all St Johnstone did, they must have been laughing in the dressing room when Neil Lennon picked his start, when they saw Neil Lennon starting 11, because they'd have thought, okay, we'll stick 5 men in the centre, we'll stick 5 men in the D, and that's us more or less get a draw. Because all we need to do is block Edward with 4 men, block Rogic with 4 men, and nothing happens. It's so easy to read.
Yeah, you talk about the wide players there, and for all we did strengthen the summer, spent a lot of money. Particularly the right-hand side was one that we didn't strengthen anywhere near enough. And James Forrest's been out for months now, Mikey Johnstone hasn't played this season because he's been out with a long-term injury. So that now we find ourselves with the one area of the squad that we didn't improve in the summer, as the one that you could say is causing us the most problems. I know the defensive issues are huge, but no Johnstone, no Forrest, but no other options, no other players in the squad that can come in and offer the things that they do.
I mean, we had Scott Sinclair and Patrick Roberts at one point. Now we have Laxalt and Frimpong playing as our wingers. That's where we are as a club. This, I mean, Edward in the 60th minute was playing left back today. He's actually having the ball at left back. And I thought, what the fuck is happening here? What is going on? And do you know, it was desperation stages when Lennon, it was still 0-0. He just started throwing people on. Just started throwing them on. And what mystifies me, as you say, is that we spent a lot of money in the summer, which we did. Where was Albion Ayeti today? Where was he? So he was in the squad for Milan, £5 million, and he's not even on the bench. But Griffiths wasn't in the squad for Milan, but now he's in. I mean, Griffiths is overweight. It's the whole thing, the whole club. You've had players that aren't good enough for the club. I mean, Greg Taylor came on, he was just a wee boy at left back, get battered. As soon as he came on, there's just so many problems. I genuinely don't know where you go, but as Kenny says, we need to get a new goalkeeper. I think we need another right back. El Hamad's far too weak. Frimpong's far too small. Sometimes physicality is. I think Gordon Stratton get hammered for that with Scotland when he says that we're too small as a nation. But Frimpong, every club is pinging the ball back to him, and he's getting beat in there every single time. So we need a new right back. I think we need a new left back. Somebody that can actually defend in his position and getting forward. The loss of Kieran Tierney has been absolutely catastrophic in that position. I think we need wingers, left, right. This whole thing about James Forrest, and it's all right, his stats are brilliant. Well, look, now he's injured. We've not got anybody to replace him because we think that he doesn't get injured. Just the whole club for every single position. There's not even one position where I can go, that worked for us well today. That actually came off quite well. Everybody, Edward, he looks an absolute shadow. You'll be lucky if you get £9 million for that boy. I'm telling you, his contract running low, and you'll be lucky to break even to get your money back on him. Because right now, who's looking at him going, top class finisher, what a player. We all know he's got the ability, but right now you can see the players just don't want to play for Neil Lennon. But the board are going to stick by him. It's what they know. It's the easy option. And I said 2 weeks ago, Paul, make change. Why embrace change? Change can be good for people. People are scared to change, but that's the problem. But embrace it. It will make you a better person, and it will make the club a better person. What is if we go? Say we get Eddie Howe in, right? Say we get Jack Ross in. Does it get any worse than this anyway? Say they lose. Well, fuck it. We're still in the same boat. So do you know what? They changed, and I'd applaud the board for making change. They've still not even made. They're just sitting there and allowing this to happen, but putting fences up at Parkhead. That's the most they've done all season.
I'm hesitant to write off individual players. I've long reached the stage, and people may have seen this season with my defence of Barcast for one, but I'm long past the stage of writing off individual players because we've seen in the past that a new manager can revitalise players, and we've seen massive improvements. If you think about the transition from Dyla to Rodgers, some players that we thought were finished at Celtic became absolutely integral parts of a massive success. So I'm hesitant to write anyone off. I think, as you just said,
I see a small example of that, Paul. Edward played what is in all this nightmare run he's had. He's played one game really out with Neil Lennon, and he was absolutely spectacular for France. Right, he went and broke that record. He scored 2 stunning goals. He looked like an absolute Rolls Royce. He's not a write-off. He's a write-off under Lennon.
Yeah, that's the case for a lot of them. I would think it's as Callum says, who do you bring in? Well, whoever you bring in now, and this is what I've been saying for weeks, it resets everything. It's a clean slate, and every player has to buck up their ideas if they're not pulling their weight, because a new manager comes in, and if you're not doing it, somebody else in the team will take your place, because everybody starts fresh. And that's why you bring a new manager in. That's why you don't let the vote set in to the stage that we've let it get to. So I don't want to go too wild and say, no, we need X, Y, and Z in January. I think we need to see all of these players, particularly the ones who have only arrived in the summer, under a new manager with a fresh impetus, and then we can judge them.
Yeah, and I think we need to move away. Neil Lennon's style of management is pretty traditional, right? I think it's probably had its day. The likes of Neil Lennon and Steve Bruce that are a bit more old school. Modern players like an Edward or even a Christie, I believe they prefer the meticulous management style of a Rodgers or a modern coach who's into fitness, he's into sports science, and everything's diarised and everything's microanalysed. I think that's how you get the best out of people in the modern game. Neil Lennon's, that's not his forte, right? It's clear. He did really well last year, but however we move on from, and it needs to be somebody with a more modern managerial outlook.
But see that kind of what you're saying there, sorry, Paul, is that Neil Lennon's attributes are probably two things. The first thing is motivation. His motivational skills are usually quite good. That's what his team are. They're dogged and they fight for each other. That's nowhere near what Celtic are at right now. And then you look at them, they're always chasing teams down. They've got full energy. Apparently he does running drills constantly more than actually technical drills. That's actually the two things that he's supposed to be brilliant at are the two things we're fundamentally lacking at right now. No one's fighting for each other. The tackle on Ryan Christie for Craig Bryson was a shocker, right? 2 feet off the ground, not in control. Not even one player really went over and had a go. Not backing up their mate, kind of that fight that you have with each other. Right, but it's just like it's getting to the stage where nobody wants to fight for each other, and it's just acceptable. We've just to accept it as fans. Keep paying the money. Don't come to our stadium. Keep giving me your £600 your season ticket, but don't come to your stadium and accept what you're given because you've been spoiled over the last 10 years. Do one.
They're in a psychological rut, right? The sum of those players and their contributions would be way better were they not in the psychological rut. Neil Lennon said it's psychological. Well, tough, Neil. Any manager that loses a sack after a long run of lost games and underperforming players, they're all struggling psychologically. That's part and parcel of it. So it just needs to be break. We need to break it. I'd have thought Neil Lennon would want to break free from it. All the players want breaking free from it. All the fans do. Just bloody do it. Why doesn't Lawwell just do it? And he needs to do it in the morning.
Do you know what it's like? Sorry, Paul. Sorry, it's just quite like it's like out of 10, right, of a guy, right, and he's a 4, and he's managed to pull a 10 bird. That's what it's like with Celtic. It's like we just can't let it go. I can't let her go. No. That's like the board with Lennon. They see somehow as if he's a 10 top-class manager of world football. We can't let him go. Like,
I'd love to see the women you're pulling, Callum, if that's your analogy.
My missus, come on.
I think we're in a no man's land in terms of talking about Neil Lennon's strengths there, and motivation and high energy teams and stuff. I think we're just in a no man's land where he doesn't have his own backroom staff. There's probably some friction between John Kennedy's philosophy, if he's the man that coaches the team, and Gavin Stratton, who's come in the summer, if they're the people that take the training, and if Neil Lennon's philosophy is something totally different for that, I think we're getting none of any of them. And that's why we see a team in the park that looks directionless, it looks purposeless, it doesn't really know what it's doing. It doesn't, I mean, today we didn't have the period, the second half, like 15, 20 minutes of the second half, we hadn't put St Johnstone under any concerted spells of pressure at all whatsoever. The same against Ross County last weekend. These are games where when a Celtic team has a purpose and it knows what it's doing, it's going to pin these teams back for long spells. And you might have one of the days where you miss chances or the goalkeeper is a blinder, but you'll pin them back and you'll put them under severe pressure. We can't even do that. And I think that points to just how directionless that this team is. And I think it's a symptom of being not committed to, whether it's Neil Lennon's way of thinking, John Kennedy's way of thinking. It was still trying to hang on to what Brendan Rodgers was doing, but with none of Brendan Rodgers' people here. So that's all gone now, and we've got nothing. We don't have anything in terms of a philosophy and how we play.
What's pretty scary is we've got to try and win a quadruple treble in 2 weeks' time. Now, if I'm a Hearts manager, I'm rubbing my hands at the minute thinking, do you know what? I don't need to use much nous to win that game. All I need to do is have some pretty basic defending by my centre halves. And every time I go forward, I'm only a couple of passes away from putting the ball in the net. Now, Hearts will not be playing as well as they have been perhaps in recent seasons because they've been down a league. But I've noticed they've not lost that many of their players. And they've got a better goalkeeper than us. That's a worry, I tell you. That game is no formality, and we must win that game. If there's one thing we do this season, we must win that game.
Is that what they're holding on to? This cup? Is it like are the board giving them this game? Like everybody keeps saying,
it might be.
Maybe give them to the Old Firm game, like in January, or the cup game. Like it's just not working. And I don't know if you listen. Alan Stubbs said it. When we concede goals, when we start going for games, especially Sparta Prague, when we chase the game, then we concede. 2 minutes later, St Johnstone score. I seen it coming. As soon as he said it, I thought they're going to go to the bar and score, and we get cut. Mate, how many times have we seen that goal happen? How many times? And Julian just lies there and just thinks, there's no way out of this. People are saying that the players look dejected, deflated. How must Neil Lennon feel right now? He must just be completely burst, and he's that so far gone that he can't even look. Once he leaves this club, whenever that is, he will look back in this time and say, I got it wrong. I should have left before. And that's where we're losing right now. That's what will cost us the league.
I think they might be trying to give him the cup final, which is a sad indictment really on the situation, because
it's also a scandalous. It's a scandalous mismanagement from a board, Paul. If that's the case, they've sacrificed. You've literally sacrificed everything for one game, and that's out. That is outrageous. We'll never know if that's the truth, but it looks that way.
It's to give Neil Lennon. It's to give Neil Lennon, to do him the courtesy of being able to win a treble, because he's never completed a treble as a manager. I mean, that's doing a personal favour for somebody. That's not running a football club. That's not what's in the best interest of the football club, as we keep being assured in these vacuous corporate statements that the board put out. That'll do us for tonight. Like the video, comment your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you shortly for Twitter.